Today I'm going to answer a question about editing that nobody's asking me, which is how do I improve the pacing of my edits? The questions that I get about editing are usually about how to create a fancy transition or what software I use, but people rarely ever ask me how to make the pacing better in the edits. And maybe it's just because it's a pretty abstract question and it's kind of a difficult thing to answer quickly, but if you really want to improve your edits, you definitely have to master pacing. I'm going to give you a couple exercises that you can do that will hopefully give you a little bit better sense of what makes a good pace in an edit. Bear in mind, there is no quick solution, but there are a few things you can definitely do to improve it. Okay, exercise number 1. Take a music video and watch it once with the music and then once on silent.
We gon' be alright.
Why a music video? Because music videos are inherently rhythm-based in their editing. What may surprise you is that a music video doesn't actually always edit on the beat. A lot of music videos are edited sort of in a syncopation against the rhythm of the beat. And that's to keep the audience interested, because if they always just edited cut, cut, cut on every beat, it would get incredibly boring and metronomic. Whenever your brain senses a rhythm with no break in it, your brain relaxes too much. You just sort of mentally disconnect. And it's those little arrhythms in the edit that keep something interesting. And the second time when you watch the video without the sound, see how interesting it is without any music against it. See if the visuals can keep your interest even without sound present. Okay, exercise number 2. Try starting a new edit, and this time, pick a well-paced piece of music for that edit. I personally almost always edit to music. Even if I'm going to switch out the music later, even if the cut is going to have no music when it's finally done, the music sort of gives my edit a bass rhythm that I can then work off of later. What is a good piece of music to edit to? Most pop music is actually not that good of a candidate, because pop music tends to be fairly monotonous. If you're to draw out the way a pop song looks, it's kind of maybe an intro and then a quiet verse and then a loud chorus and then a quiet verse and a loud chorus and then a whole bunch more choruses and then it's done. So it's very blocky. I like to edit to movie soundtracks or to cinematically composed music. And by that I mean a piece of music that has a crescendo, a build throughout the piece, much of the way a movie builds throughout the narrative arc of the story, so that my cut will have a similar build and energy to it. So you can actually search for music to edit to, starting with the waveform, the way the music looks when it's laid out visually. Sites like SoundCloud will show you the waveform of the song you're listening to. Now, of course, a lot of those songs you won't be able to license or you won't be able to legally use in a commercial video. So you might want to head on over to sites like musicbed.com, which also let you preview the waveform, and you can actually purchase those tracks. Okay, so now if you've got an edit that you've done to a certain piece of music, try taking that music out entirely and see how it plays. And then try replacing the music with something completely different and see how it alters your perception of your edit. A lot of the time, it'll draw to light the rhythm that you've been using to your own cuts. And you can see that you instinctually will want to change the edit just based on the new music you put against it. So trying a couple different pieces of music against your cut will help you to sort of find the best pace for it. Now, the third piece of advice I have for you is actually, for me, the toughest to follow, and that is to take a break from your edit. I cannot stress enough how important it is to just get away from the edit, especially before you post it online or deliver it to a client. Before you submit that edit, take a break. Because one thing I found with my cuts is even if I show them to other people to get their feedback, a lot of the time nobody will spot what I will spot when I come back to look at it later. So I would advise taking at least 24 hours away from your cut. Get out in the world, away from your screen, away from your phone, and just experience a world without media, without cuts, to sort of reset your brain, and then come back to it later when you feel like you'll be able to view it a bit more objectively, a bit more like somebody who's watching it for the first time. That's the thing that you never really get back when you start to edit your footage. You never get the experience of somebody who is just discovering the cut for the first time. And that's the way that 99% of people will experience your film. And one more final piece of advice here. Try to take stock of where you're spending your time when you edit. One mistake I make when I edit is that I spend way too much time on the intro of the video. Because it's fun, I guess, because I like that snazzy little 5 to 10 second cold open that gets people hooked into the video. It becomes a little addictive to just focus on that part of the video and neglect the meat of the edit, the rest of the video, which is so much more important overall. So try to take stock. Are you spending too much time on the intro? Are you spending too much time on transitions? Whatever it is that you spend too much time on, try to force yourself to spend less time on that and transfer your energies to a different part of the cut. This can help you not only in just distributing your time more evenly, but it can give you a fresh perspective on the thing that you spend too much time on when you come back to it. Force yourself to scrub to a different part of your timeline and work on a random portion of the video that you've been neglecting, and make that as good as you can, and then come back to the part that you were obsessing over with fresh eyes a little bit later. So those are a few tips on improving the pace of your edit. Of course, this isn't comprehensive. It's a matter of just practicing it all the time, every day, for years. So I hope you found this informative. Please click like, please subscribe, and I hope to see you next time.